Despite the irregular movement of troops and ammunition up and down Highway 13 in the past few days, we have been told by the South Vietnamese commanders and by their American military advisors that the situation is now stable. We take that to mean that Saigon is no longer threatened by an imminent communist invasion, and that the Army Chiefs of Staff are no longer anxious about decisions they've made to relieve the siege of An Loc. How many MVA do you think are up there at the moment?
Well, we think there's still elements of 2 regiments around An Loc itself.
And how soon do you think it will be before we can start moving forward towards that capital?
Who's we?
Well, the South Vietnamese.
they're moving towards that capital right now with a whole brigade. Now, if you're talking about up Route 13, I can't give you an answer on that. It's going to be a little while. The enemy has got forces south of An Loc, along Highway 13. 21st Division's out there fighting them and finding them and mixing it up with them.
All this weekend, paratroopers have been standing by to be airlifted out of the base at Lai Khe, 25 miles north of Saigon, to An Loc and its perimeter. Because of intensive communist ack-ack fire along the route, many helicopters have had to turn back, and these troops have had to sit and wait on the edge of the helicopter pad, waiting for the OK. As they sat or slept under the trees, medical evacuation helicopters returned from the fighting, and the men who were waiting to go to war watched as the dead returned from it. That afternoon, 4 Viet Cong rockets hit one of the ammunition dumps on the base, and for more than 6 hours, hundreds of tons of high explosive cut off one half of the base from the other. The explosions hastened one decision that the paratroopers waiting to go to An Loc should leave at once, and in one afternoon, more than 1,500 men were airlifted into the fighting areas around the provincial capital. We flew in one helicopter over An Loc, and because of the ack-ack fire we kept above 2,000 feet. But even from that height we could see the smoke rising from the houses which had been damaged either by South Vietnamese dive bombers or by ground fighting. As we flew over the town, a South Vietnamese spotter plane was photographing the day's damage, and over the northern part of it, a Cobra helicopter and a Sky Raider dive bomber began their first run-ins before they began their attacks on communist-held positions. Despite some reports, there has been no retreat by the South Vietnamese along Highway 13. But for the past few days there has been a lull in the fighting along this road, and the soldiers took full advantage of it. The communists have moved no further south this past week, and the road through to Saigon is effectively closed to them. Much depends on its staying that way. Michael Nicholson, News at 10, South Vietnam.